Dr. Seuss, as you know, once told a child's fable about a Grinch who was quite unable to steal the cheer that the holidays brought, and about the lessons that the Grinch was taught. But if you lend me an ear or two, I'll tell you a similar story that's new. It's about a man who commits a crime, but discovers a truth that's older than time. It's a prime example of intellectual snobbery in what came to be known as the Great Church Robbery. The church was known for its love and affection, and they invited folks in from every direction. But to one neighbor named Mr. Sleazy, their invitations didn't come so easy. Sleazy hated them, and for their Christian religion, he held no love, not even a smidgen. He considered their pastor to be a big fake, and the Funk Factory band made his head ache. Though he felt that way not because of his head, but the fact that his soul was spiritually dead. So with a heart full of meanness and doubt, he watched Sunday morning as their service let out, staring out of his window with a cold, ugly sneer at their warm handshakes and smiles full of cheer.
"They'll all be returning,"
he said with a bark,
"for tonight's service as soon as it's dark. And then with their worship, they'll raise a commotion. But what's it about? I haven't a notion. They'll have their church service and my ears will start ringing with all that noise from their praying and singing. They'll pound on their piano and the drums too. But why do they do it? I haven't a clue. Why, for too many years I put up with this stuff. It's driving me crazy, and I've had quite enough."
And as he got angry thinking how they would do it, he suddenly snapped.
"I must put a stop to it. Without all their church stuff,"
he went on with a growl,
"their bright, happy mood will quickly turn foul."
Then a wicked idea hit his wicked old brain.
"I'll pretend I'm a blind man with dark glasses and cane. I'll steal all their things, and if anyone spies me in my clever disguise, they won't recognize me."
Yes, he felt quite proud and thought himself wise, so armed with a plan and a tricky disguise, he grabbed a big bag and took off with a lurch, and snuck up to the back door of the church. Determined that his entry nothing would block, he used a screwdriver to jimmy the lock.
"This is too easy,"
the fake blind man hissed, as he tiptoed inside, cane clenched in his fist. Then he lowered his glasses and peered all around, to make sure that no one was there to be found.
"These speakers,"
he said,
"are the first things I'll steal."
As he laughed to himself, what a miserable old heel. Then he ripped up and threw out the box of tissues.
They won't even be able to cry
Yes, he took
about
every
it.
comfort, and the instruments too.
My heart's a stereo, it beats for you, so listen close. Hear my thoughts in every note. Uh-oh. Make me your radio and turn me up when you feel low. This melody was meant for you, so sing along to my stereo.
The remix. It's not easy being sleazy. Moving on up like George and Wheezy. Yeah, that's a reference to the Jeffersons. And if you don't know who they are, you need to ask someone, or you could Google it. I don't care. When people see me on the streets, they stop and stare. You might have seen me on Dreams, baby. I'm the man of your dreams, baby. And I don't sing soprano. I'm about to steal this piano. But before I go, and if you don't know, now you know. Shout out to Vanilla Wafer and Chocolate Daddy. We made it, big boys.
As he carried away all he can heft, and even the Bible was not above theft, and when he had taken all he could rob, he was turning to go when he heard a small sob. Grabbing his cane, he spun round with a whirl, and there stood by the altar a tiny young girl.
"Who's there?"
he asked while tapping his cane.
"You see, I'm quite blind and don't know your name."
My daddy's a pastor and I am Mary Sue.
Then with trembling voice she asked,
Who are you?
"Oh, just a friend, so there's no need to fear."
as he motioned the little girl to draw near. Sleazy faked a smile and knelt down beside her, and when she smiled back, the room somehow seemed brighter.
"You see,
He lied.
God sent me indeed, for even a blind man can see you're in need. So I'm taking the old out and buying on new, and as soon as I'm finished, I'll send it to you."
So he pulled the wool over her eyes with his sightless act and clever lies, and he condescendingly patted her head, but he was taken aback at the next thing that she said.
Oh, kind sir, I wonder if I might pray that the Lord will give you your sight.
And before he could answer or move out of the way, she laid her small hands on his brow to pray.
Dear Jesus, I thank you for being so kind, and I ask you to touch this man who is blind, bring the light to his eyes, and help him see. So give him this gift, Lord, and please do it for me.
And when she had finished, his throat was all dry, and behind his dark glasses a tear dimmed his eye. And conviction had fallen on him like a great weight, but he croaked.
Thank you, dearie, but now I'll be late. So go on back home and don't say a word or tell anyone what you saw or what you heard.
And as he watched the pastor's child depart, he felt a strange tug down deep in his heart, but he shook it off with a snort and a shrug.
Must have been those chimichangas I had last night.
And as he was leaving, he threw out the rug. It was 6:30, soon the church would be full, so he cranked up the pickup and away he did pull. Up the winding dirt road to the top of the hill, he drove with their stuff, which then he would spill. When he came to the top, it was getting quite dark. As he drove towards the cliff and put it in park, he jumped out of the truck and strode towards the ledge, and stood looking expectantly over the edge.
They know by now,
He said with a grin,
that their services have all been done in. They're wailing and moaning and all shed a tear. Now that's something,
said Sleazy.
that I wish I could hear.
But he could hear a sound, quiet and low, rising up from the church in the valley below. But this sound wasn't tearful, why it sounded quite cheerful. Everyone there, from the smallest fella, was singing their favorite song a cappella. He hadn't stolen their joy, it remained. In spite of their losses, they worshipped the same.
Maybe their joy doesn't come from what's done. Perhaps
He smiled,
it comes from someone.
but suddenly his heart was clutched with cold fear as he noticed the pickup had slipped out of gear. It rolled toward the cliff edge, that rusty old clunker, as he leaped in his path and shoved hard on the bumper. But it didn't slow down, though his feet plowed the sod, and for the first time in his life, Sleazy prayed out to God.
Lord, I know it was wrong these church things to take. So save them, and me also, for Jesus' sake.
Then a light from heaven shone in as Mr. Sleazy was born again. And he felt a strange power he'd not felt before as he found the strength of Samson plus a little bit more. He stopped that old truck and turned it around, then hopped up inside and drove down to the town. He returned to the church and brought back what he stole and asked for forgiveness for his wretched old soul. Then he went to the altar and beside it he knelt as he praised the Lord Jesus for the peace he now felt. And he hugged Mary Sue as she climbed on his knee, for her prayer had been answered, and now he could see.
For now.